So when it comes to the subject of race and the subject of color and the subject of white and black, it is oftentimes understated in a sense, is oftentimes not really addressed properly. And a lot of black people, and I don't want to make this an agenda. This is not an agenda. This is just a reality of the fact that let me speak out of experience, oftentimes refer to everything white as good and everything else that is not white as bad. So oftentimes we say white is good, black is bad. And maybe some of you might not understand this, but coming from Africa and being in Africa and understanding the African mentality, the minute we see something is coming from the white man, we consider it as good. And the minute something is coming from the black man, we consider it as bad. And what we don't know is that psychologically, it is shaping us to think a type of way. Psychologically, it is pushing us to be in this frame of thought that so long as the thing is coming from us, it's not good. We don't care how quality it is, how good it seems, and how well it is. So long as it's coming from here, it's not good. So that is a fundamental thought or foundation or line of thinking in every black person in Africa. I can speak for Africans, that the white is good and the black is bad. Even in the circles of Christianity or religiosity, it is always seen that when they talk about evil, they are thinking about black, and when they talk about good, they are thinking about white. And I'm just thinking that this is something that we really need to talk about. So I'm only going to take it from one dimension today, and I hope today is a blessing to you. Aquaba. I'm just chilling in my little corner here today, and I just want to be as comfortable as I can and address this issue of black and white. And addressing the issue of black and white, I want to stay on skin color, and I want to stay on how light-skinned people are seen in a particular way and how dark-skinned people are seen in a particular way. And in as much as we fight people seeing us, that you'll be amazed or you'll be surprised, the majority of us see ourselves this way. So before the other race or the other person comes to condemn or judge or suppress us, we see ourselves this way. And I don't want to go too far away from our continent, that is Africa. But in Africa, whether people want to admit it or not, it is seen that way. I don't know for our brothers and sisters scattered across the face of the earth, but in Africa, in Ghana, and from the villages that most of us come from, the minute you see the white man or the white person, you are tagged as good, and we, the black, being the black person, you are tagged as black, as bad. So it's in our line of prayer. When you are praying and you see some dark images, it means it's an evil spirit. When you are doing something and you see some darkness around it, it's evil and it's bad. When you have a dream and you see something dark images, it's bad. So darkness and blackness have been associated with negativity so much so that it makes it very difficult to move away from it. And in as much as we are fighting in this time about Black Lives Matters, we have to, the first place we have to address this issue is in our minds, in ourselves. If we can emancipate ourselves and we can free our minds, then we will live in a free world. You can never be free or live in a free world if your mind is in prison, if your mind is in bondage. So I feel this is a great place and a great area to talk about, because majority of us, we are in this scope though. We are in this mentality that the black is bad, black is evil, dark is evil. We need to wake up from that. And that is what I want to address on Social Thursday today. And I'm not going to do anything without thanking the powers that be, the Creator, for giving us life, and the Mother Earth for always sustaining and supporting us, and all the powers that be, Esi, Ajo, Abine, Auku, Yao, Efi, Amen. All the powers that be, the power of the air, the power of the earth, the power of the sea, or the waters, the power of the fiery dimensions, and all the power that protect us, the powers and authorities of our background. I give them thanks, and I appreciate, and I'm humble, and I honor them for what they give us, teaching us every day, and leading us into righteousness every day. I'm so grateful, I'm so humble, and I know they are the reasons why you are watching me right now. So I bless you, I bless your life. Welcome to Social Thursday. Let a reaction begin. So the first image that I'm going to react to is a picture that was shared with me, and this is a picture from one of the British either prime ministers or something, but he's called Lord Macaulay's address to the British Parliament on the 2nd February 1835. And this is what he said: I have arrived across the length and breadth of Africa, and I've not seen one person who is a beggar. I've crossed the length and breadth of Africa, and I've not seen one person who is a beggar. So our fathers were not beggars. Our fathers were not, listen, our history is coming from a place of royalty. Our fathers had it all. They had everything they ever needed. They had their family, they had their wealth, they had everything. And this is from the British Parliament confirming that, listen, these people are not beggars. I've not come across one African who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country. So we were wealthy. We had it all. Such high moral values. We had the moral values. People of such caliber that I do not think we could ever conquer this country. So this is the state. I was having a conversation with somebody earlier, and I was telling the person, these people didn't just come and overnight take over everything. They didn't just come into Africa, started enslaving everybody. No, that's not what happened. They came to monitor us for years, to study us for years, to study our ways. And our fathers, being loving people, they welcomed them in as much as they looked very strange to our fathers. They looked so strange, but our fathers still welcomed them and like, listen, these pale people, they look sick, but you know what? Let's welcome them, and maybe with time they will look like us. And when they got a chance, they manipulated the whole situation and took advantage of the love and the kindness of our fathers and started raping and taking and stealing from us. So these people were stealers. They were thieves. They were beggars. They were thieves. Because for them to come to an understanding that there are people called beggars, they need to know that they need to live with that. For them to know that they are thieves, they need to know that that was not existing in our lands or amongst our fathers. They were not stealing from each other. We didn't understand that. You see, most evil that is done in the world today, including our world, were taught to us by them. They taught us to steal. They taught us to beg. They taught us to be envious. They taught us all these things. And maybe probably somebody might say you making excuses for your people. No, you can think whatever you want to think. For him to say that I've never seen a thief, one thief, he's come across, he's not seen one thief, meaning they were not stealing. Such wealth, we had money. People steal, and people are jealous, and people are envious because they lack something, they don't have something, they want to steal. But once you are fed, you are full, your family is taken care of, what else are you going to steal? So these people came empty pocket, and by the time they left our shores, they had full pocket, fill their treasuries and fill their ships and enslaved us and rape our women in addition. You know the story. I'm not the one to tell you these things. But this is the reality. And let me go on. It says, people of such caliber that I do not think we can conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spirituality and culture heritage. So her spirituality and her culture heritage were the reasons why they couldn't break us. This is why they couldn't dominate us. This is why they couldn't overpower us. Our fathers were living righteously. They were doing what was right. They were not some sinful people. No, these were rich, cultured people. Our fathers taught everybody else on the face of the earth how to be cultured. I mean, maybe not in the cities anymore in Africa, but when you go to the rural areas of Africa, you compare the respect level and the moral level of a child and compare to a child in a city, vast difference. So our fathers were cultured and they were spiritual. Our fathers were not pagans. They were to them because they didn't understand the spirituality of our fathers. But among our fathers, we never knew a thing called paganism. We were spiritual people. Our fathers were spiritual. You see, so for you to let another white man come and teach you your spirituality, it's insane. That is why this journey that we've been on, this excuse of what do you call it? Our fathers' traditions were archaic. No, the white man told you that your father's traditions were evil. The white man told you your father's traditions were wrong. The white man told you these things. And they broke our spirituality. That is why I tell you, when you want to defeat a nation, defeat her spirituality and you take over the nation. And that is what they did. Unless we break the very backbone of the nation, which is her spirituality and culture, and therefore I propose that we replace her old and ancient educational system. So our fathers were educated. We were not some bunch of illiterates. Our fathers were fully, highly functional human beings. Our fathers were educated. They had education. Now, education is not speaking the English language. Like I tell you all that, I wish all of us could speak the local tongue so that we don't have to even speak their language. Education is not that. In ancient times, education is you mastering your gift, your talent, your ability. So you understudy somebody, you get a master and you understudy the master and grow in that specific area. That was education to our fathers. So what these people came, that was not education, that was programming. That was programming. That was enslavement. That is where mental slavery started. They didn't bring us education. They brought us mental slavery. They programmed us. They caused us to think in a particular line, in a particular pattern. They programmed our mind. They changed our old ways, our traditional systems, our educational systems, our culture. For if the African think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, then they will lose their self-esteem. And that is what I want to talk about today. That all that is English is good and greater than their own. This is the beginning of our problem. This is where it all started going wrong for us. So we can never be free if we still entangle ourselves with the white man's ideology of school system, ideology of spiritual system. So long as we are rowing, it's just like anybody coming out to say, I'm not Catholic, I'm just a Christian. No, you Catholic, every Christian form or branch or whatever, you can say, I'm Protestant, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. You are all Catholics. You came underneath them. So we will never be free until we start speaking our own language, until we start trading in our own language, until we start learning in our own language, until we start adapting and accepting our spirituality, until we start doing things our way. Because so long as you do something somebody's way, it is not your way. Do you get where the problem is? So long as we do things according to their way, it is not our way. It will never be our way. The only way to go is for us to be in tune with ourselves. So they tell us how to think, how to sleep, how to marry, how to invest. They are teaching you how can you beat somebody at their own game? How does that work? How are you going to beat them at their own game? They plan the game for you. You can never win. So long as you are playing by their books. It's here playing, and he's not the only person that was saying this. All the kings and the prime minister were saying this. That the only way to break the African men is to break their spirituality, break their customs, break their traditions, and break their educational system. Once you let them think everything they have is inferior and demonic, and everything we are giving them is right and righteous, then that is it. I mean, this is so eaten down into all sectors and areas of our lives. And this flows in right into my main subject or assignment for the day. Let me just finish with reading and we go straight to it. They'll lose their self-esteem and their native culture, and they will become what we want them, a true dominated nation. They will become what we want them. So we have Ghanaians having school system like the British school system. America, you are in Africa, the heart of you say, I have an American school system. I have a Ghanaian school system. In Ghana, when people bring certifications outside the country, they are better employed than those getting education in this very country. Even when you want to become a president or whatever in a country, they try to check your qualification. Where have you been? What have you done? And the citizens themselves will laugh at you if you don't. I remember there was a lady called Ekuyadonko in our political arena. Ekuyadonko and
Enti dia mente kura no ye be ka kire me wo na me pese me ba ya so na kwa kire wo se he bibia wode mere e be na so se nde Ghana ye ka twi enti na me ba me ya assembly woman no na me twi ba ye peace for say enti na me di twi ba e so peace for da fa ene obi bia na fidie na peace ya na wo tum ena me se enti say obi a ka twi obi a da bia da ene obi a ka twi aba fidie brofo na fidie wo mu ye firi wo so me na me twi na ba.
This is somebody who is a farmer, and speak our language. And because she's a farmer, she is farming and she's speaking our language, the nation laughed at her for being Ghanaian, for loving her own, for farming, giving you food to eat. We are the only people that will laugh at farmers. But yet the next minute after laughing, you will be hungry. Who do you think is feeding you? We are the only people that laugh at people because they speak our language and they call it vernacular. No, the English is a vernacular. I speak mekami kasa o mekami krom kasa and your vernacular. Whatever word you want to use for it, and the family me dia me kano and your vernacular. Wo wo dia na wo kana wo friend vernacular. It's a vernacular and your krom kasa ya wo brofo. You understand what I'm saying? The mekano e ye mimi krom kasa. Ye wo kano e yo bi krom kasa. Vernacular na wo kano e yo bi krom kasa. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, okay, I know a lot of you didn't understand the tree that I said, but I was speaking in tree, and I'm speaking my own. We laughed at Ekuyadonko for being a Ghanaian. We say you don't fit to be in the parliament because the British want a type of person to be in our parliament. The British don't want anybody they can't understand. How can we be a nation on our own? And I'm not just talking about Ghana. I'm just not. I'll talk about Ghana a bit. I'm just not talking about Ghana. I'm talking about across borders. Across borders. That's what I'm talking about. Across borders. All African continents. So long as we allow ourselves to be ruled by the system that was set up by these people, we are not in power. We are not in government. We are not in rulership. We are not doing things by our own terms. We are still doing it by their own terms, but they are in the shadows and they have puppets in the figure places. You know, until we start loving ourselves, until we start loving our own, until we start doing things that project us. If you don't project your image and yourself and your heritage, who is going to project that for you? And that's the sad thing.
Resolution and visual tribute from His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, the President of Ghana. Yesterday, during the memorial, a video produced by the people of Ghana was broadcast for thousands of mourners as they paid their final respects to Mr. Floyd. The family is honored by President Akufo's decision to have Mr. Floyd's name permanently mounted in the historic Sankofa Wall at the Diaspora African Forum and the W.E.B. Du Bois Center in Africa. They are grateful that the country of Ghana stands with the Floyd family and the struggle of all families to change the status quo of racism and prejudice. The family is deeply moved by the generous act of the Ghanaian government to solidify George Floyd's legacy. There have been countless other acknowledgments.
I want to applaud the president of Ghana for doing this thing. I saw a couple of days ago and I knew that I was going to talk about it on Social Thursday. So I want to applaud the government of Ghana because the government of Ghana really honored George Floyd, and there was a whole 8 to something, a couple of minutes moment of silence for him and all of that. So the president of Ghana came out and supported it and condemned the U.S. for the police brutality and all of that. And I want to applaud the president Nana Akufo-Addo, and I think it's a great initiative. But all of us got to wake up. All of us got to wake up. Listen, every African leader, it's time. You see, when you are an African, you are in this continent and you are casting votes. Use your head. Use your head. Think. Plan. Ask questions. Ask relevant questions. Ask them, what is your 10-year plan? I don't care whether you're going to be in the office for 4 years. What is your 10-year plan? When you start having 10-year plan, it means you are not just considering your tenure, but you are considering the next person that is coming after you. So you are thinking into the future. What is your 50-year plan for the nation? You see, so I applaud Akufo-Addo for this, and I encourage other African leaders to also do this and follow suit. And whenever there's an issue among the African communities, Ghana shouldn't always be the country coming out first. You know, we've always been a country that come out first and come and defend and come and support and come and do all of these things. Ghana shouldn't always, when you talk about the country, an African country that has really supported the civil rights movement of our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, no country has done it better than Ghana.
It has been a great pleasure to welcome my friend, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his delegation to Jamaica. We are delighted that he has made a visit to Jamaica, a priority on his tour of the Caribbean to promote the Year of Return Ghana 2019. Indeed, this is not his first high-level engagement with Jamaica, having accompanied former President Kufuor on an official visit to Jamaica 14 years ago in the capacity as foreign minister then. I can therefore say, welcome back to Jamaica. This visit and today's meeting reflect the continued strong bilateral relationship that exists between Jamaica and the Republic of Ghana. Our relations are deeply rooted in our ancestral and historic connections, forged over many years and only made stronger by our firm democratic traditions, shared principles, and vision for peace and prosperity, and the cultural affinities which unite our peoples. We cannot forget that many Jamaicans trace their ancestry to the Akan region of West Africa, presently known as Ghana. With the roots of many Jamaicans stemming from Ghana, the President's visit is highly symbolic. It is that very symbolism in Ghana's Black Star which inspired Marcus Garvey to call for the Africans to rise up, for us to unite, to throw off the shackles of mental slavery and accomplish what we will. As we endeavor to further deepen the relationship between our peoples and nations, the President and I have mandated our Ministers of Foreign Affairs to negotiate and conclude, and I am happy to say that this has happened very speedily, because I will allow the President to give that good news, but the mandate has been effected.
Our visit here is really, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that Ghanaian leader will come to Jamaica, because the Prime Minister has quite rightly put it, the ties that bind us are ones that go back a long way, they are deep, they have cultural and other ramifications. So there's every reason that I should come here. We have these historical and cultural ties. We also have the potential of building on those ties important economic relations, trade and commercial relations. And in order for our two countries to get maximum value and benefit from the ties that are between us, it is important that we take advantage of those ties to build these strong economic relations. There are lots of areas of possible engagement that we have talked about this afternoon, and the decision has been made on both our parts that the Ghana-Jamaica Joint Commission for Cooperation that has been dormant for some time is going to be reactivated, hopefully this year, if not as early as possible in the first quarter of next year, so that the various areas of engagement that we're talking about can be properly structured within a legal framework for the doing of business between our two countries. All of us know the impact that the famous Marcus Garvey, your national hero, has had on the independence movement in Ghana. The Black Star Line shipping company that he formed for the repatriation of Africans back to Africa, Africans in the Americas back to Africa, became the national shipping line of Ghana under Kwame Nkrumah's guidance. So the intercourse between our two countries has been systematic and of long standing. Now has come the time for us to give teeth to those relations by making sure that the various areas of engagement in education, in tourism, in cultural activity are specifically tied down. That is really my purpose of coming here. We're going to have relations that are intimate. We cannot have visas standing in the way of those relations. So the decision has been taken by my government that Jamaicans, as Ghanaians, benefit from visa-free arrangements here in Jamaica. We are also going to provide visa-free arrangements for Jamaicans in Ghana and facilitate and make it easier for you to accept our invitation to come and join us for the year of return.
And I think it's time that other governments should rise up. And I think even in Ghana, it's the MPP government that have oftentimes moved towards that place. So the NDC government shouldn't come in power and just close all their doors to these things. No, that's ridiculous. We got to wake up. We got to wake up as a nation. We got to wake up as a continent. And we got to start supporting our African brothers and sisters in the diaspora. We got to be there for them. We got to show them the way. We got to show them our culture. We got to show them our heritage. We got to know that we are a family-oriented people. We are a loving people. If we don't show them who we are, this is what's going to happen. They are only going to demonstrate what they know. As in the killing of one another, the disrespect and all that, they are only going to demonstrate what they are used to. It's time we show them culture. We show them love. We show them family. We show them what it means to have a family. We show them what it means to take care of each other. And how this is, it's not the British way, or it's not the school system they are indoctrinating us with and imprisoning us with. No, we got to go back to our cultures and start projecting our cultures and our heritage so that they come and understand what our ancestors used to be like. Because we somehow we are in tune with our ancestors, but they are a bit far off. So when we get closer to the ways of our fathers and project them, then they would also learn and come on board. You understand? So I applaud once again the president of Ghana for what he did, but I ask that all African countries, all African nations, all presidents should also wake up. They should also wake up. It's time we wake up and do the right thing for our people, for our brothers, for our sisters, for our brothers and sisters scattered across the diaspora. We got to wake up and fight for them. When we do that, they will respect us and they will love us, because listen, if we don't do anything for them, why should they come in the first place? Why should they connect? We got to do something. And it's got to start with our leaders. We, the younger ones, we are doing it. I'm doing it. I'm reaching out every day. We got to wake up. So I want to move today into the subject of race, and I want to talk about, listen, let's watch this video. I'll react to this. Let's watch this.
Governor, let me just ask you this right straight out. What do you understand racism to mean, or how would you define that, or segregation? Would you say you're a segregationist?
Yes, and I believe in my term, or my definition of segregation, yes, and that is a segregationist is a person that loves his race enough, or other races enough, has enough of racial pride and integrity to want to preserve them. And I think a racist is one that doesn't care enough for his race or another race to where they don't care whether they're amalgamated or destroyed or not.
I mean, this governor, Mados, you see, I don't get why we get upset for them thinking the way they are. Because if you love your race, you will do whatever it is to defend and protect it, right? So what they are doing is protecting their race and defending it and fighting it. What do we have to do? We have to protect our race. We have to protect our culture. It is our job. It's not their job to protect our race. It is our job to protect our race. So some way, somehow, I understand the way it be, whether wickedness or what. I understand they are trying to protect their race. We got to rise up and protect ours first. Our race have to be the first thing in our priority. It got to be the first thing we think about. It got to be the first. When you wake up, you should think black. When you go to sleep, you should think African. When you wake up, African. When you are eating, Africa. When you are thinking of relationship, African. When you are thinking about business, African. When you are thinking about buying, you buy from the African. When we begin to think about things this way, they will begin to see the effect of what we have suffered our whole life. And until we change this perspective of thinking, being pro-African, we have no excuse. We don't. Yes, it's insane and sad, and it angers our spirit to remember all that our fathers went through. But what are you doing about it now, today? If you got 5 companies lined up, which company are you going to call to come and fix your problem? And I think majority of the time we give the excuse of they won't do the job well. Well, then our men got to start working well. We got to start including professionalism into our work. We got to start doing things the right way. We don't got to play. We don't got to feel, oh, because you're a black person, I can do it anyhow. But you see, the same person that will come and work on your product and handle it anyhow, the same black man will go and work in the White House and do things properly. What's wrong with us? We should think our people first. That is why they think the way they are. Let me go back to the video.
Then could I ask the governor a question?
Yeah?
Are you familiar with the black Muslims in this country?
Not too familiar with them, no.
Well, they practice black separatism.
Well, that's the reason I'm not familiar with them.
Good answer. Very good answer. That's all to say. But to continue along that line, do you feel that what they're doing is right? You know, they believe that white people should be separate. They believe that they should have a state in this country. I think they felt that Mississippi or Georgia should be, you know, one of those 2 states should be the state. Do you feel that this
I was
is
thinking maybe they ought to make it New York.
New York? You think so? All right, I'm gonna get off of that, Governor. You look too tough.
You know, I think that forced racial segregation is criminal and unconstitutional, and I think forced racial integration is criminal and unconstitutional. I think either one of them is cruel.
You mean on
By
social?
force.
You mean on a social level?
Any level, where it's forced.
Well, we do have like the laws. You mean when the laws are enforced, that if it involves integration, then it is wrong?
If it forces people against their will, against denying them their choice, to
Then you mean
separate or to integrate,
there should be an
it'd
exception.
be just as wrong if the law would be just as wrong to force them to integrate as it would to be to force them to segregate.
Well, don't you?
If a country can finally get to the point of saying, well, you're going to hire this person, you're going to promote this person, you're going to serve this person, then the same country can come right around and tell you that you've got to work for that person, you've got to eat with that person, you've got to be served by that person. And this would be cruel and wrong, but so it is when it tells another person that you've got to do this.
Well, the laws of the land tells us all what we have to do, basically.
That doesn't make it right.
Well, I agree with that, but
Don't
you believe
the Supreme Court goes outside the Constitution. That doesn't make the Supreme Court right, does it?
Don't you believe to have an affluent society, we've all chose to live in a society together, don't you believe that to preserve that society that we need laws of the land? That's why we have a society. And we cannot make exception to these laws just because a person happens to be black or white. Don't you
We've
believe
got
that?
most of these laws because we don't abide by the laws of God, though. And so we try to go against the laws of God and against the laws of nature, and we say, well, now, you're inferior, and you're not going to be able to meet with success in education or in your social life, even in your religious life, unless you do it with another race. And this teaches inferiority to me.
As
and it's
governor-
wrong, and it's criminal, and it's cruel to teach any one person that he is inferior.
I just want to pick on the laws. You see, no matter how human beings think they are advanced, or no matter how advanced human beings get, no human being can set out a perfect law. The minute human beings begin to think that, okay, we are making a law for ourselves, they would always keep changing those laws, because human beings' intelligence is short-sighted. Human beings operate on intellect. They operate on past experiences and present experiences to say that, okay, let's set these rules and let's set that rules. What human beings don't do is that they don't go beyond their experiences. So they are not able to look into the future and the foreseeable future and say that, okay, in the future, this and this is going to happen. So before we get there, let's start setting laws for governing the future that we are not even. That is how the laws of nature is very vital and very significant. When we decide to go against the laws of nature, we will pay the price. But because we don't like the laws of nature here and there, we don't like certain things because we want to change, that is how come we find ourselves in a place of certain laws that we can't. If you can't obey the laws of nature, what makes you think you've got what it takes to obey the laws of man? And we try though. But once it's the laws of men, people are setting those laws. And once these people are setting those laws, these people that set these laws knows what it takes to maneuver their way through the laws. So no law of man can be absolute. Every law of man have loopholes. Law of nature states that this is this and that is that. Once you keep those laws, we wouldn't have any problem. But the minute you begin to think that, oh, I'm no better now. How can you know better if you cannot even know 5 minutes what is about to happen in 5 minutes? It's not even possible for you to know what I'm going to say in the next 5 minutes. I don't even know what I'm going to say exactly in the next 5 minutes. I don't know if in the next 5 minutes I'm going to do the talking and the video is going to play. So how can I set laws governing? That is why the only upholding law, the only law that we've got to all look into and apply to our lives and obey is the laws of nature. I just want to chip this in. Let me get out of your way. Let's continue this video.
He is inferior to another race, or his race is inferior.
But as governor of the state of Georgia, did you go by the laws of God or by the laws of the state?
I go by the laws of God and by the laws of the state.
As you see fit.
What is...
No, sir, not as I
I just wanted to ask the governor, when you say it's morally wrong, integration, I believe that's what you said, or it's
I said forced segregation or forced integration, racial integration or forced racial segregation. They're both morally wrong, cruel, and they're in violation of the United States Constitution, which is the law of the land, not the Supreme Court ruling that denies the Constitution.
You know, I assume you know Dr. Billy Graham.
Sir?
I said, you know Dr. Billy
Yes,
Graham?
sir.
He was here last night, and he said that racial prejudice is also morally wrong. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes, sir. I think racial prejudice is wrong. Yes, sir. Our government's probably practicing more prejudice today than they ever practiced in all the land so far as between the black and whites.
There was a quote that you made on the fight in Miami that Muhammad Ali participated in with Jerry Quarry. And, well, not in Miami, but in Atlanta. But black people always felt that Atlanta was the model city of the South because of its integration and because of the participation in economics of black people. And your statement on the day of the fight was something like this, that it's a dark day in Georgia because this fight is being put on. Now, the law of the land says that a man can participate in his particular profession unless he is in jail. I felt very happy that this fight took place in Atlanta. How did you feel about it?
I felt very sad.
And why was that?
Here's a man that has said, well, here I want to fight in the ring for money, but I won't even wear the uniform of my country. He says that I can't do this, but in other words, I'm going to act different from these other people who stand up for their country and put on the uniform. Had they not fought for this country, if they were not even fighting today and wearing this uniform, that he could not even get in a ring and fight and be a free man to
but
fight.
Isn't it true
so he's helping to tear down this country with this philosophy, with this belief. Suppose every American, Mr. Brown, suppose every American had decided that they were not going to put on the uniform of their country and not fight for it. We wouldn't have a United States of America, and I couldn't be on your show, and you probably wouldn't even have a show tonight.
It true?
If everybody had that attitude, and I don't like it, and I don't care whether you like it, don't care who don't like it.
Well, I did serve my time, which, of course, I was a little before Muhammad Ali, and I was not maybe as intelligent as he is, because he was the first individual, I think, in this country that came out and said he had nothing against the Viet Cong. I think there were two other politicians in the country that made a very similar statement later. The late Bobby Kennedy came back from Vietnam and basically said the same thing. At the time, it was not a popular stand to make, but today it is a very popular stand. In fact, we have a lieutenant that's on trial now for certain things that happened in Vietnam.
But you see how majority of the time, listen, we are naturally blessed with intelligence. We need to understand that wherever you are, wherever you go, you need to always have this thought in your head that you are blessed with natural intelligence. Listen, when you allow yourself to tune into the frequencies of the divine, you begin to think at a rate that no other race on the face of the earth would have the capacity to do. Listen, you are so blessed with such intelligence that you have the ability to always set precedence over every other race. See, Muhammad Ali was the first person to take this stand. Way before, and when he was taking the stand, nobody was with him. And a lot of people had turned their backs on him for taking that stand. And I don't know the circumstances of the whole scenario, but I would want to believe that even some black people didn't understand why some black people would think that Muhammad Ali is making trouble for them. It's the same way, you see the stand that I'm taking a stand to tell the truth. And a lot of people, not just people in the diaspora, but a lot of even people in the African continent don't even agree with me though. And some call me demonic and what have you, all the names that they want to call me. But I'm still taking a stand with such courage because that is the intelligence of the black man. The black man is able to go into the foreseeable future or unforeseeable future and begin to speak a conversation that is not yet happening in our time. That is how come Muhammad Ali said something and did something that wasn't popular, but years later, even the U.S. president, they just mentioned the name, is saying the same thing. We are smart, black men. You are naturally smart. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You are filled with such intelligence. And I want to encourage somebody. I want to encourage somebody right now. Listen. If you have taken a stand and nobody is willing to go with you, everybody is mocking you. Everybody is looking at you like you're crazy for doing this and why are you doing that and why are you doing that. Everybody is going here. You the only person. Listen, don't budge. Don't budge. Be strong. I speak strength over you. That you will stay strong in this stand, in this place that you've decided to be. Stay strong in that stand. Because before you know it, the whole world will catch up to it. And the whole world will begin to do the very thing you started doing and nobody would give you an ear. I have a WhatsApp prayer group. I have a WhatsApp prayer page. We pray on WhatsApp. I started 2.5 years ago. When I started doing that, or 3 years ago, basically, when I started doing that, everybody was looking at me crazy. People will even ask the question, well, how do you pray on WhatsApp? How do you pray? Ask for prayer. You got to meet together and gather and hold hands and pray. How do you pray over WhatsApp? When I started, a lot of people were asking me a question, how do I do it? And it's not possible to pray on WhatsApp. Now, when the lockdown came, all churches started praying on WhatsApp. This is the black man being way ahead. It's the same way I'm telling you, some of the things that we've had all our life or known to is false and is lies and is all made up. A few people would hear what I'm saying, but majority of people will not hear it. And majority of people will come against me and speak against me, but I'm not going to budge. I am not. When you learn to take a stand, hold on to that stand. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise or change your views. Listen, because what you have is straight from the Spirit, and the Spirit is confirming it with your own spirit. And you know within you, this stand that I'm taking is right. Hold on to it. Don't let it go. Because very soon, you're going to reap the benefit of being the first person to hold that stand. Let's continue to the video.
But I am saying that this man followed the law of the land. He made his stand. He has been fighting through the courts. He has gone to the higher courts, and he will go to jail if he is proven guilty.
Well, I hope he does go. I hope, because I think he's guilty of treason.
Can I finish? Don't you feel that whenever a man goes through the courts, that he is abiding by the laws of the land, and that man who is willing to stand up with that decision is a brave man, regardless of what his beliefs might be? I know a lot of Southerners who really like black people. And, they portray themselves as being really segregationists and that they hate black people and so forth. But
I know some black people feel the same way, but I don't know any Southerners that don't like, white Southerners don't like blacks. Do you know of any? Can you name one?
I'll tell you something. That's a very interesting point.
Can you name one?
No, I'm going to answer that question. It's an interesting point, you see.
It is, yeah.
They like black people, but they like them in a role, you see. They like them when they're very humble and they're very loyal.
I like humble people whether they're white or black, don't you?
I know, but you see...
And loyal people whether they're black or white, don't you?
The white people have the choice.
Like you see how loud they get. You see how loud they get, how loud he's getting. See how calm and collected and cool the black man is. It's like a dog. A dog would always bark. But when it comes to an action, they'd be the first to run. I mean, except those trained dogs, though. So empty barrels makes the most noise. You see how cool and calm the black man is? That's class. That's eloquence. But you see him, he's the senator and he's the governor or senator. He comes because he knows he's got nothing to say. So the little that he can say, let me be all over the place so that I can get more people to like me. But a black man is taking his time. Jim Brown is taking his time and is making his point. You understand? He's making his point. And that, you see, when you know who you are, you chill, you relax. Maybe I'm just being petty, but honestly, I like the fact that Jim Brown is just cool and calm and collected, and Mados is and look at them too. Listen, if they should get it on, who do you think is going to fall? When you know who you are, you don't struggle. I'm just being petty. Let me go on.
You don't like the black people to have the choice, you see. It's only a matter of choice.
I want black people and white people to have choice. You got it all mixed up. You're trying to twist it around.
No, I'm only trying to agree with you. Would you let me finish?
If you'll tell the truth.
Well, I'm only making an analysis, really. It's not a matter of truth or false. What I'm really saying is that basically history has proven that during the days of slavery, whenever a slave was more or less humble and he did what he was told, that he was in good favor with the master. But whenever a slave was too educated, if he became aware of his own self and he wanted to become more than the master wanted him to become, then he was a bad slave. He was then put down because he represented a threat to the already established kind of white society.
Let me say this. Those situations are true with white people and black people. Now, you're just trying to point it at black people only.
Because
but they've been true throughout the history of the world.
About.
There's been discrimination black against black, black against white, white against black, and white against white. There always has been, there always will be. And you're not going to wipe it out, and Tricky Dick's not going to wipe it out, and the Supreme Court's not going to wipe it out.
You're not addressing it. You're not addressing
Are you
your
referring
answer
to
to
me
my
as
question.
Tricky Dick?
No, you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, you weren't. Oh.
And that is the truth. They don't want you educated. And if you get education, they want the education that they are giving you. They don't want you to get any kind of education or any type of education aside the education that they are giving you. Once you are coming up with different things that they are familiar with or things that they can control, then you become an enemy. So long as, just as Jim Brown said, so long as you humble yourself and you stay loyal to the cause, then they like you, they applaud you. But the minute you start speaking out the truth and revealing the secrets that they don't want you to know, and start saying the things that they don't want you to hear because they know these things you are saying will free your people, then now all of a sudden you become an enemy. So if you think they have a problem with the sort of education you are having, think again. They love the type of education you are having. They love the type of things that you are studying. They love the type of things that is coming out of your mouth. Because these things won't harm them. These things that they are teaching you won't change anything. Because everything you are learning through their textbooks and all is the same things they want you to learn. They want you to think that way. They want you to behave that way. They want you to talk that way. And so long as you do, they don't got problem. And that is exactly what we've been dealing with our entire race. It's been dealing with. This is what our race has been dealing with. Miseducation. They teach you what they want to teach you, but not what you must know. It's time you stop learning what they want you to know, and it's time you start knowing what you must know, from religion to science to engineering to what have you. Start learning the things that you need to know and not what they want you to know.
Well, you know something, Governor? Believe it or not, I don't think that integration should be the number one thrust of our civil rights leaders anyway, because I think what we're really talking about in this country is economic development of black people, because I've found
Economic development of all people.
Well, we're talking about underprivileged
How come just
people.
black people? How come you just want to do it for black people? How come you don't want to do it for white people?
I'll tell you why.
Huh?
I'll tell you why.
How come you want to do it for everybody? How come you always black people? Why don't you talk about all people?
Can I give you an answer?
I think we understand the question.
Yeah.
Can I give you an answer? Do you mind?
Oh, go ahead. If you're ready, I'll give you time.
Okay, Governor. What I'm really saying is that there are some people that have suffered in this country, poor people generally, but let's say that we have various ethnic groups in this country that have attained a certain kind of equality. Black people are more or less, along with the Indians, on the last rung of the ladder. Can I finish, Governor?
Boy.
Can I finish? Okay, do you mind?
The governor
Now,
said
what I'm really
fully
saying
agrees.
is that I feel that the way to bring about equality of black people in this system is
What
through
about
economic...
equality of white people? Now, I won't interrupt you every time you keep calling black people.
Well,
What about equality of all people?
If you interrupt me, Governor, I can't talk to you.
Well, I'm going to...
Wait. Equality of the white people? Okay, now, I'm the same person that said I like the fact that Jim Brown is cool, but I think he's getting too cool. I don't like that. He's being too cool. Equality of the white people? What other equality can you ask for or look for if you are the one making the rules? You are the one setting all the standards. What equality are you talking about? We are living in your system. We are having our being in your... Everything we do is filtered with your system. What other equality are you talking about if the very thing I'm learning are the things that you want me to learn? What other equality? Equality of the white people? Jim, you being too cool. You being too cool. I just applauded you for being calm and collected. But listen, when it comes to times like this, you gotta be... You gotta let the lion out, you know. Don't do that, Jim. Don't do that.
You're just going to talk about black people, don't include all people. I try to include all people. You're just interested in the black. Why don't you tell these people that in Atlanta, Georgia, where you keep talking about the South, that the percentage-wise, more black people are professional business people, industrial leaders,
Governor,
more of them in our state house elected officials than any other state in the country.
Can I interrupt you? Can I interrupt
Be
you?
all right, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. See, I'm not really here to fight with you. I'm only trying to have a discussion with you.
I'm not going to
And
fight
I'm
with
trying,
you either.
and I'm
but
trying to use the
I want you-
technique.
And yeah, he cannot fight. That is why he listen. This is true confession. This is an honest confession. That no, I'm not trying to fight with you either. Listen, Jim is saying I'm not trying to fight with you. Governor saying I'm not trying. He knows. The governor knows. Oh, he knows. He knows when it comes to fighting. Let me just shut up and get out of your way.
People out there, there's a lot of people out there watching you, and I want you to be fair about all people, not just black people. We got a lot of people in this country.
I can understand that, but you do know I have a reputation, right? And I saw
I don't
you.
know about it.
I
I'm
saw
not
you.
sure.
I saw
Tell
you.
me what your reputation is
I saw
now.
you bring that state trooper back there, you know, behind the curtain. I know you brought him back there for a reason. But that's not my purpose tonight.
Here you go trying.
That is
here
not
you,
my
Well,
purpose
you let me
tonight.
tell you this.
Would you like to join this conversation?
No, I'm going to say this now.
Would you like to join this conversation?
I would let. Why is it coming
Let
apart?
me say this, Mr.
Would you let Dick talk a little
No, I've
now?
got to say this. No, I'm going to let him talk
See,
right
before
now.
I got on
Mr.
this
Cut me off.
before I got on this
Because I got
program,
a
you
state
wouldn't
trooper
talk,
like
would you?
all the other governors in the country carry one, and they require it in the state governments that the governors have security personnel.
didn't get 'em because
so
you
I
knew I
carry
was
one
here,
of
right?
them. I didn't even know you would be here. It was a surprise when I came here tonight and found you would be here.
Wait.
I've never traveled anywhere in the United States since I've been governor. No other governors travel without one security personnel. Some of them have 3 and 4. I carry one man as an aide, not as security.
Governor Mattis, could
Are
I?
you afraid because I came up here with an aide?
I've forgotten what my voice sounds like. Could I would like to say, Governor, I don't want you to create the impression that you were trapped in any sense. That I mean, it's been known for some days that Mr. Brown is going to be here. We didn't actually trap you. Did we?
So he's lying that he didn't know Mr. Brown was going to be there. Jim Brown was going to. Okay, now I'm beginning to feel this vibe that Jim Brown is known to have a reputation and is under a sort of restriction right now because he keeps saying that you know my reputation and all of that. So I'm beginning to think that no, that's because I was applauding him for being cool, but at the point he was just being too cool. I don't like that. I'm not that too cool to be too cool. No. I don't do that. So I'm beginning to think that something else is going on, and now the governor Mattis is lying that he didn't know Jim Brown was around. He is the reason why he brought the state trooper. Jim Brown. Now, okay, I'm beginning to feel Jim Brown again. I'm beginning to feel him again. Like, go you, Jim. You put in the fear in him.
I mean, it's been known for some days that Mr. Brown is going to be here. We didn't actually trap you, did we, into coming in?
Well, I want you to know that I didn't know he was going to be here, but it wouldn't make no difference because you invited me and I accepted the invitation.
Yes.
But he said something about I know his reputation. I don't know Jim Brown. Who is Jim Brown?
Well, let me
You
introduce
can see who is Jim Brown. See the smile he did, like the fake. He knows Jim Brown. I'm sure he knows. I don't know much about Jim Brown, but I'm sure he knows Jim Brown. Listen, he knows. I don't know much about Jim Brown, and I'm tempted to even Google him right now, but this governor knows. He's playing.
Governor, what have you done for the blacks in your state?
Well, they came to my office in the beginning and said what they wanted done. I said, well, I'm not going to make any decisions based on black people or white people or any other group. It's going to be based on what's best for this state. We've had more of them to visit with us in the governor's office and the governor's mansion and in all the history of the state. We've employed more of them in responsible positions, placed them on the selective service boards, on state constitutional boards, more than all the governors in the history of the state. And they've become a part of their government for the first time.
Yeah, I was surprised. I did a lot of reading on you, and I found that you had appointed a great number of blacks to the
more than all the governors in the
history
history of the state. We do ours on the basis of who is best qualified, and it has nothing to do with their color. That's the reason I'm glad you've asked that question, because they've been all directed tonight similarly at trying to in the other direction. But I think we ought to Dick, talk about the positive things more in this country than what we're doing.
I know that when you were elected, a lot of people were just horrified, and they said that people in Atlanta, some of them stayed home from work and all and didn't know quite what to do. And that then your administration has surprised a number of people in that sense that you have neither been a segregationist's dream, no, in one sense, I mean an extremist segregationist, nor the liberals' darling on the other hand, certainly.
Well, we based our decision on people.
Did you have a kind of change of heart when you came into office? The government belongs to all of them.
None whatsoever. I've always based my decisions in business and in steel mills and factories and plants, wherever I've worked all along. And the only people that were surprised, Dick, were those that had been misinformed. The people that knew lestomatics, the people I had been associated with, and all my life knew that I would be fair and just to every citizen, regardless of whether he's from rural or black or white or urban, rich or poor. And we've had more, like I say, we've had more black and white people to visit with us there in the governor's mansion, the governor's office, than in all the history of the state, and even at this time.
I know
we're having more black people to visit in the governor's mansion and the governor's office than all the other 50 governor's offices in the United States, even at this time.
Yeah, I hear the door is always open, which is rare in today's politics, and you do have people.
Well, we try to run the governor's office like you run your own business, your own home.
Did you have any problems from the bigots in the South?
Have any problems with us?
From the white bigots because you did so much for the black man.
What do you mean, which white bigots? The black ones and white ones I have trouble with from time to time.
No, I said white bigots.
I have the black races and the white races that create some problems.
Did you have any problems from the white races because you did so much for the black people?
Mr. Brown asked you, Governor Maddox, if you'd had any trouble from your white admirers for the fact that you have done some things.
He didn't say admirers, sir.
No, he said bigots.
Well, why didn't you say it like he said?
You have me there.
Why didn't you say it? Now, see that what I'm talking about, Dick?
I do see it,
You take
yes.
words and twist them around and you mislead the people in your audience and all. You ought to start being honest, all of you, with your words and what you're saying to people. You said admirers and he said bigots. A lot of difference, isn't there?
Yes, I feel like a bigger person.
Why do you want to mislead the people like that?
I didn't mean to mislead the people. It is a good question, though, isn't it?
Well, it's a good question, but for you to come back and call bigots my admirers...
I think he should just go ahead. Maddox should just go ahead and answer the question. And honestly, to be fair, I think he's just beating around the bush because he's trying to gather the answers in his head, wondering, should I say it, should I not say it? Wait, if I say it and I go back to my office and the white bigots gonna come, admirers gonna come after me, or are they not gonna? I think he should just go ahead and answer the question and stop. I think he should just go ahead and answer the question and stop having a fight with Dick. His name. Okay. Some people be having weird names though, but let's just go back to the video.
It's a act of hypocrisy. It's a terrible way to treat a guest on your show, and you know it.
Wait. Now, he's flipping the question. He cannot be sincere about the answer. So now he's having a go at D. I just want to say D. He's having a go at D. Oh, I probably say Covet. So he's trying to go at Mr. Covet. But just answer the question. Stop beating around the bush and just answer. That's all we want to hear, the answer.
Huh?
You know, he's right about that.
Why don't you apologize to the people for calling people that are my admirers bigots?
Now, wait a minute. I'll take you half seriously on this, but I won't.
We got over 4 million people in Georgia that are my friends, and I call admirers, and you calling them all bigots.
No, I'm not.
Now, you apologize to them.
No, I won't.
All right.
Oh, no, don't. Please. No.
You better apologize to the people.
Sit down. I'll explain it.
This is the tactics. This is their tactics. Listen, just him sitting by Jim Brown infuriated him already. He is upset not because of D. He's just upset. He's just mad, and he's about. Just answer the question. That's all we want to hear. Just answer the question. Maddox.
Let me see.
I'll answer his question when you apologize to people.
Let me
for
see if I
calling
can
friends of
focus
mine
in on
bigots.
that. If, in fact, I have
I
called...
got friends that are black and white and admirers, and they're none of them bigots.
May I now answer?
Yes, sir.
If I called any of your admirers bigots, who are not bigots, I apologize.
That's maturity. But he's smart. If I called your admirers bigots who are not bigots, that's smart. It means that those that are bigots, I'm not apologizing, but if I called your admirers bigots who are not bigots, then I apologize. But the ones that are not, though, that's smart. That's the smart way to do it.
Please, your turn. Now let the governor answer. Please.
I wouldn't accept that on representing the people of Georgia under any circumstance. You're saying that some of them are bigots. If
Well,
you can't be fair, if you can't be decent, you don't belong on television. I don't belong here with you.
I hope you'll stay. I don't... I know there are white bigots
Well, why don't
and
you
there are black
apologize to the people
bigots.
of Georgia, those friends of mine, for calling them bigots?
I think I
Now,
made
either you do
clear
it,
how
I'm going to leave now, Dick. Which one you want?
Wait a minute.
Wait. Listen, I told you he can't answer the question. He was going to have problems with the white people that are upset that he even said that he's... Listen, these people, they look out for themselves and they cannot even offend one another outright. In public, if they can't offend one another, you think they will offend one another in secret? This is why I'm telling you, you got to start thinking pro-African. You but see how he's defending his people that are not bigots?
Wait a minute. Please don't leave.
Well, you
I'd like to
apologize
ask-
to the people of Georgia. And he owes them an apology, too. The only biggest that I know...
Wait.
You wait a minute.
I think-
You wait a minute. You wait a minute. The only biggest that ever I've been involved with came out of New York and New Jersey. The white ones that came from New York and New Jersey came down there and tried to destroy the South and tell lies about what's going on in our part of the country, which is one of the leading parts of the country, moving forward in all areas today.
Uh-huh.
And the only biggest I've ever had to come in there were the white ones that came from your city and from New Jersey to try to wreck and destroy it. Now, Dick, I'm gonna give you 1 minute to apologize to the people you call bigots in Georgia. I'm gonna leave your show. Now, you do whatever you want to about it.
No, wait a minute. What are the terms? Wait a minute.
You got 1 minute to tell them that you don't call any Georgian a bigot.
How much time do I have?
Right. Please. Governor, I find you most interesting. You're a most interesting man. There's something likable about you at your most outrageous moments. And
What do you mean outrageous moments?
Outrageous moments. The fight is on.
I honestly don't know how seriously to take you at
Now,
this
why are you
moment
talking
because
about outrageous moments?
I don't think I have consciously offended anyone, and I didn't mean to. And if I have unconsciously offended anyone, then there's no need to apologize because it was an accident.
Well, tell him that you've made a mistake then.
I would say that I phrased the question in a way that was not exactly accurate in the sense that he did say bigots. Have any white bigots been upset because you have done certain things for the
But you
blacks?
came back and said my admirers, and you haven't apologized yet, and you got 15 seconds.
All right, now let me use those 15 seconds. I apologize for suggesting that a bigot would be the way of characterizing all of your admirers.
No, good night.
Wait a minute. There's more time.
Good night, sir.
The I'm sorry the governor left. He may be back after this message. We will.
He just couldn't answer the question. Are white people offended at you, upset, mad at you for helping out black people? Are they offended? He just couldn't answer this. How on earth are you not able to answer this? Yes or no? If we don't look out for one another, nobody's going to look out for us. Now, I want to go into a video, and I'm not going to talk much through this video. I'm just going to keep quiet for you to watch the entire video. And you know I'm pro-African, and I'm all about the African man. So it was a bit uncomfortable reacting to this video because I don't see any black person in the video. You can call me racist. But the story in the video is showing a picture of how bad racism was years ago. And this man that is going to have a conversation with us is going to tell us how he couldn't even tell his parents that he sat by black people. That's how bad it was. He enjoyed white privileges his entire life and had no idea what the black man had to go through. Let me not tell you his story. Let's listen to it. And I'm watching this. The first time I saw this video, I saw it with a pinch of salt. Like, but he's a white person. I don't trust a thing he's saying. I don't trust at all. But it's not about what he's saying. It's for you to remember what your fathers had to go through. Let's watch this.
Now, I have trouble telling. I have trouble telling this story. As a 10-year-old, I got on the bus from my school. Everybody was black. Except for one seat, there were no seats, and a black lady was sitting beside that seat. And this lady said, I'll never forget it. She said, honey, you can sit right here. And she patted the seat. Said, honey, twice. Honey, it's okay, you can sit. Elaine, I sat in that seat like this. I didn't move a muscle for 3 miles. I got off first. I went home. I didn't tell my parents I'd sat by a black woman. Finally, I decided I'd say something. I said, John, let me ask you something. How come black troops in World War II fought so miserably? They surrendered, they didn't fight very hard. He said, Frank, where'd you hear that? I said, my father told me that. Now, John could have said, your father's an idiot. If he'd said it, the conversation is over. I never would have gone anywhere. He didn't say that. He said, Franklin, I don't think you and I know enough about that to discuss it intelligently. Save my face, save my father's face. Save it. He said, but let me ask you something. You have anybody fight in World War II? I said, yeah, I had 2 uncles. One was in the Philippines. One was at Pearl Harbor when it was bombed. He said, is that right? He said, I did too. I had 2 uncles fight in World War II. I said, great. He said, you know where we eat lunch? I said, you don't eat with me. He said, that's right. My uncles and I, who fought in World War II for freedom and justice and pursuit of happiness, we get on a bus and we ride 2 miles out of town to eat lunch because none of the stores we shop in will let us eat. And my stomach got tight, and I didn't want to hear any more. He said, did you go to the bathroom? I said, yeah, I go to the bathroom. He said, where do you go? I said, I go anywhere I want. He said, my uncles and I, we get on a bus. We ride 2 miles out of town to go to the bathroom because we can't go anywhere. I listened for the rest of the 3 hours. When I got to my dorm, I lay down and cried. I sobbed for 3 hours. Next day I went in and talked to the dean of men. I said, it's crazy. We're studying English and math and science. And right across the street over there, we got people, citizens we don't even know. It didn't make sense.
But I'm going to tell you, as this white person sitting here, I am absolutely certain I benefit.
Listen, they didn't regard us at all as human beings at a point in time. And I'm not saying hold bitterness or hold anything in your heart against these people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a sin for you to forget what your fathers had to deal with. It's a sin for you to forget where your fathers are coming from. It's a sin for you to forget the injustice that was done to your fathers. So before you ever think of forgetting any of these things, remember, somebody laid down their life for you to be where you are today. The only how you can repay them for their kindness and for their love and sacrifice is for you to continue. Not stop at a point, continue the legacy they left behind of upholding the black man, the African man, and teaching the culture and the heritage of our fathers and letting the tradition go on. That is the only how you can pay for the sacrifice our fathers laid down for. They did everything. They went through all that they went through so that you would be where you are now. You should never forget that. Never. Listen, let me get out of your head. We've spent an amazing time. I hope you've enjoyed today's video because it's been a blessing to me, and that's what I want to turn Social Thursdays into, where we talk about everything happening in our society and everything. I actually wanted to go into something else, but I couldn't because of time. But hopefully I'll continue next week. I hope today's video has been a blessing. Don't forget where you're coming from. When you don't forget where you're coming from, you would get to where you need to be. Don't forget. Stay blessed. I love you guys. Bless. Welcome everybody that has joined the family. I love you guys. Please, once you are in this community, try as much as possible to share to your brother, to your sister. Tell your brothers and sisters that there's an amazing community building up, and it's a community for you and I to see who we are for what we are and to become who we are destined to be. Don't forget there's a Zoom community and we are on WhatsApp. Just click on the link in the description and you will be part of the WhatsApp community. We meet every Sunday on Zoom to teach certain things that we cannot teach here on YouTube. Stay blessed. I love you guys. Mwah.